Hello, good morning, warm welcome to your decoding of the ET Wealth newspaper. I'm Priyanka Bhatia from Women on Wealth, and today we're going to talk about a very important topic. It is on what are the money mistakes probably we are making with our children and how we can avoid them. As mothers, as women, I think our children are our priority. We want to bring them up with the right value system and make sure that we are making them financially intelligent. So today's conversation is around, like the newspaper says, are you making your kid financially paralyzed? So that's the conversation we're going to have, and it is saying your faulty behavior pattern could impact your child's decision-making ability as an adult. So find out where you're going wrong and how to avoid it. So that's the conversation that we are jumping straight on. I will first define what is financial paralysis according to the article. Okay, so that you know what we mean here. So it's saying the inability to take financial decisions, either due to confusion or fear of taking wrong decisions, is referred to as financial paralysis. So when you are scared, scared of taking the wrong decisions, and I think it is human, right? We are all at many times scared that we may make wrong decisions, especially some very important life decisions. I am scared too. I would like to acknowledge. So yeah, fear is a very normal emotion that we have. But what are we doing which may paralyze the child later? It will lead to so much confusion and fear that action, will go missing. So that's what the financial paralysis here is about. Hi Ashna, Preeti, Bhagya, good morning everyone. Do you all have kids? Are you ready? Hey Tissani, welcome. Good to see you Tissani after a very long time. Okay, so a psychiatrist, Dr. Sameer Parekh, who is also the director at Fortis National Mental Health Program at Fortis Healthcare, he's saying parents don't give enough cognizance to the way they handle money in front of children. But how they portray it will define the child's money confidence in future. So, from my own story, I can share that, yes, we all know also that children learn more from what they see than what they do, than what you do. They will learn more from what they see you doing, behaving, not what you're preaching them. So I think that's the conversation where it's leading us to. While parents assume that children do not understand finances fully, kids are quick to pick up subliminal messages by observing the spending patterns of their parents. So a lot of their money behavior comes from the observation. That's where they are. So I think that's the key. Okay. Number one is you give kids too much allowance. So are you giving your child too much allowance? And after that allowance, say, finishes in the middle of the month, are you giving them more money? Is that what you're doing? If yes, then that could be a mistake. So I'm reading what the article says. When you give a large amount as pocket money to the child and supplement it if the money finishes mid-month, you are telling the child that he never has to work hard to earn. And I personally know people my age who think they don't need to work hard to earn money. They don't even need to put in much effort. They can really do what they like because their parents have left them with enough assets and properties which are paying for their expenses. So yes, if you actually look around, you will find people who are exactly living this. When he's forced to do so as an adult, he may be paralyzed into inaction or have a problem in career growth and adjustment. You will notice these people are crying about their careers. They're complaining that their career is not growing, that they're not moving much in their business or work, whatever they might be doing. But they're still okay about it. So maybe that's where it's coming from. there is an example here of a Delhi-based expert, okay, resource mobilization expert. She and her husband, they are giving their child, the daughter, 13-year-old daughter, about 200 rupees per month. Okay, we sometimes don't even think 200 is much, but they are just giving 200 rupees and they are encouraging her to spend it prudently. So she saved all her allowance and gift money and wanted to buy sneakers worth 3,000 rupees. So I asked her if she had other expenses to take care of. Would she spend the entire amount on shoes? And she ended up, budgeting herself down to 2,000 rupees. So when you can have such intelligent conversations, A is you're giving them pocket money, B you're inviting them to spend it prudently, 3 you're asking them questions. You're not making decisions for them. You're just asking them questions that, okay, if you have 3,000 rupees, then don't you have other expenses, or would you like to spend it all on sneakers? And that's what it led to. So can you see even communication? And communication not as, posing your decisions on them, but communicating in a way which actually invites them to think. Right? So this is like a real big part of positive parenting as I see. Just proposing things, just putting views on the table. That's about it. Okay, the second point. You fulfill their wants instantly without delay. So without any delay, you are going ahead and getting them all that they want. That's a big mistake. I just recently was talking with a community member, actually just last evening, and she was sharing with me how, the father is just buying the children. So the children are 12 and 15 years old, both boys, and he's buying them all the gadgets that they ask for right away. And how she can notice that is really not working as far as as far as making them financially intelligent is concerned. So I'm reading this through. If you do not prolong and give everything the moment a child asks for it, it cannot only lead to frustration but also career problems as an adult. The child will not want to work even for his needs in adulthood because he will assume it will somehow come to him. Again, the concept of easy money, getting all of it right away. The child will not want to work even for his needs. I want to repeat this. In adulthood, because he will assume it will somehow come to him. When it doesn't, it can lead to depression and career problems because he will not be able to adapt in any work organization. So, getting the child anything he or she needs instantly. Can you get into a conversation around that? Can you really talk with him or her about that? Is it really urgent? Why is it urgent? How is the child looking at it? Yeah, just getting into a conversation and getting into their world. Like, why is this an urgent? Why is there an urgency around this? What will become possible if we buy this? What will not become possible if we don't buy it now? What is the delay going to cause? Like, is it going to cost him some learning that may come in sooner? What is it about? And what is driving this decision? Like, what is that value that is driving this decision? Is it growth? Yeah. His personal growth, or growth in sports, or growth in studies? How? Yeah. How is he or she seeing it? Or is it more fun? What's the purpose here? So if we can have these meaningful conversations, I think there is way ahead. Third, you plan to leave behind too many assets. Yeah, a lot of us want to leave a lot of legacy for our children, but a little too much will be bad for them. So let's read this. If you have a house and other assets, you cannot prevent their transmission to kids. But don't go out of the way to acquire these. I know a lot of people acquire one property, then the second one, the third one. It is just endless. And I even don't understand why, parents need to be doing that. There is really no need. I think we need to give them the right value system and the gift of education. Right? And they will manage everything themselves. Let's make them capable. Yeah. So that they are self-sufficient and happy. I think that is what we all want to see for our children. We just want to see them happy and self-sufficient, isn't it? So if there is too much on the kid's platter, he will refuse to work for a living and fail to explore investing options on his own. Instead, provide the kids the best education and allow them to fend for themselves. If you can't avoid leaving assets, it is important to teach the children how to manage these. And this is said by Miran Agarwal, who is founder and director at FinSafe India. Fourth, you force your financial beliefs on your children. So please tell me, what are those financial beliefs that you think you have? Let's start typing now. Like, I know my parents, from the very childhood, money is difficult to earn. I've listened to that, right? And my mom, just in the morning she was saying this to me, and I told her, Mama, it's not that difficult. Trust you me. So getting down to understanding what is your belief system, where is it coming from? So start writing, everybody. Hey Rakhi, Vicky, Raksha, Ritu, Amita, good morning everybody. Start typing. What are your money beliefs? पैसे पेड़ पे नहीं उगते. Yes, Palak, this is brilliant and this is classic, right? I mean, I think we've all heard this from our mom. I have also heard this. पैसे पेड़ पे नहीं उगते प्रियंका. तुम ना सोच समझ के खर्चा करा करो. And though I'm not a spendthrift at all, but yes, whatever I buy is really quality stuff, and my mom knows that. So I mean, if I'm even buying nuts, then I will buy the best quality, because I think that is something that I really believe in, that I want to give myself the best quality. My needs are really less. I'm a minimalist, but whatever I have is real high quality. So I've heard this. Palak, good job. What about others? What are other financial beliefs you have? You have to work really hard to earn money. पैसे पेड़ पे नहीं उगते. संभल के खर्चा करो, खर्चा बहुत हो जाता है. What else? What do you think about money? Come on guys. इतना difficult तो नहीं है ये. I love what Dinesh Rohira, who is founder and CEO of Finance, is saying. Most of the financial dilemmas children face as adults are due to the differing investing beliefs and earning capabilities of their parents. Hi Manjula. So what are your financial beliefs? Like, I've seen a lot of women tell me, oh, stocks are very, very risky. I shouldn't be getting into them at all. Like, it is because their parents probably lost money, or their parents only did traditional investments, and this belief system is coming in from there. Yes, Preeti, दिन रात काम करना पड़ता है पैसे कमाने के लिए. Yeah, like money is so difficult to earn, right? Money is so difficult to keep. Yes, I love what Sarita is creating. She's saying पैर उतने ही फैलाओ जितनी चादर हो. Yes, spend only as much you have, not more than that. Menaro is saying money is very easy to spend but harder to earn. Yes, money is so easy to spend. I think I believe that one. Okay, I'm noticing while I'm saying this, I connect with that one really. Like, money is really easy to spend. Not that I've really spent it a lot. So I don't know if, I'm just kind of shaking my own belief at this point while talking with you guys, because there's some connect I had with this one. Money is very easy to spend, but it's not even that easy to spend. I mean, I go to the most expensive mall in Delhi and I don't end up spending. So, yeah, I may like things, but then when I think of the usage involved, and then I think, okay, if I change my handbag to this high quality bag, then my clothes need to be changed, then my shoes need to be changed, then, I think I just get into that cycle of understanding, okay, what all changes I'll have to bring if I bring about this change, and then that like really stops me. So I am just wondering if it is really that easy to spend. Tissini is saying stocks will only drown your money. Yes. हाँ, स्टॉक्स में पैसे लगाओगे तो सिर्फ डूबेंगे ही, है ना? We've all heard this. No, Manjula, I think you joined late, so you're not getting the context of the work we're doing right now. But I appreciate you sharing. Yeah, completely appreciate that. So moving, guys, this limits, okay, all these financial beliefs, this limits their wealth growth when they start earning money, because a lot of our belief system comes from our parents, it comes from our environment, and our parents have been big influences on our lives. So it really becomes critical that we become conscious of what we are thinking, what our beliefs are, and if we are passing them on to the kids, then देखो pass on तो होगा ही, अगर कुछ belief system है तो pass on तो होगा ही. But I think the key here is, can I become conscious, and can I then explicitly say कि हाँ ये मेरा belief तो है, पर this might not be the truth. Okay, I come from there, and that's why my default way of being, right? Because इतना default setting हो जाता है ये सब, that it just becomes so default कि कई बार तो खुद को catch भी नहीं करा जाता. Like, only when Menaro wrote it here, it just woke me up. I just said, oh my God, yeah, that's me. Yeah, parents will not buy for themselves. Some of us are those sacrificers, right? But then what are we teaching our children, to sacrifice your own self? Then we're not having enough discussions about money, that this is what we have, this is what we can spend, this is where we can go, these are the goals we are working towards. I think children can really become our partners in building their higher education fund, and it can make them really responsible with money and really responsible for their emotions. So I think a lot of channel for communication can open up with this, is how I see. So I'm repeating this, okay? This limits their wealth growth when they start earning. A child who has been exposed by his parents to the fixed deposit culture, we have all been exposed to that, will find it difficult to invest in equity. He may not want to buy a house or invest in cryptocurrency, but will hesitate in doing either. Most of the youth today refuse to invest in liquid funds, letting the money idle in a bank account because their parents have not had any exposure to mutual funds. I personally know people like this, like really, because their parents didn't have the exposure, or their parents lost money. I mean, my father lost money in the 2008 market crash, but thank goodness that did not stop me from really paving my path to wealth creation. He invested in properties, but I chose stocks and mutual funds and all the modern investments, and then the multiplication that happened of money for me was immense when compared to properties. So Sindhu, you're saying you can relate to it a lot. Please start typing, Sindhu, what are the parts you can really relate to? Because I think there's a lot of learning here for all of us, provided we are willing to take it. Sarita, your husband and your belief systems are very different. Fortunately, your son has adopted your husband's belief. That is, the more you spend, the more you earn. Okay. I don't even, that's a belief too. The more you spend, the more you earn. I have not spent so much, honestly telling you. I have saved a whole lot, and yet I've earned more money. So yeah, that's a belief. And I'm not negating what you are saying, okay? Please don't take it that way. my intention is just to share that these are all beliefs, and our thoughts drive the external results that we have in our lives, and thoughts can be changed. This is for everybody who might be thinking that, oh my God, this is my belief system, I may be passing it on to my kids, or because of this belief system I am driving the results that I actually have. You don't have to worry. These beliefs are just thoughts, and thoughts can be changed. It's as simple as that. Okay? So do not complicate this, everybody. Both parents are not on the same page. That's a big challenge. Like just yesterday, I was sharing with you in the beginning of this video that, I was talking with a mother, and she was telling me how she and her husband are not on the same page, and the husband is just buying the kids all the gadgets instantly, and she can see that that's spoiling the kids, and but she's not managing to do much about it. And we were discussing how she needs to get into conversation with her children, and probably just explore what's happening where they are, because I think we get a lot of access, okay, a lot of access to their world when we listen to them without preaching. I think listening gives the access for the breakthroughs to happen. So if you guys are not on the same page, and it's okay to not be on the same page, right? So again, like I'm saying, don't make yourself wrong. If you're not on the same page, start listening, and that will give you access to come on the same page. I'm reading a couple of lines from this. Even if there are differences in financial habits or attitudes among parents, make sure you put a united front, if you can, instead of expressing opposing views while dealing with kids. Well, you know what? If you guys have opposing views, it will come through. You can't hide it for long. I think that's one thing that I've seen, that hiding just doesn't work. If you have opposing views, it will come about. You need to really dance in that situation, and like I said, the biggest access is communication, and you can get access to communicate when you listen. That's how I see it. Okay, I'm loving the comments which are coming in. Sindhu is saying, my parents too invested in properties and didn't invest in stock market at all, which gave very little return on investment. I am following my uncle's path to diversify funds. Brilliant, Sindhu. And isn't it great that you can see this? You're conscious of this. I think this matters. I think, being conscious is what really matters. Sindhuri is saying, my parents lost in stocks. So hearing a lot of discussions at home from my childhood, I always had that belief that stocks are not my cup of tea. Awesome. Sindhuri, this is class, okay? You really broke through. She's saying that this was not my cup of tea until I saw my husband investing and doing well. But I still do not have the courage to start up. Bring in a little courage, Sindhuri. Who knows, it will be different for you. Okay? You teach them one thing, but do another. Like if you're saying that you must save money, but then you yourself not saving aggressively, then they're not going to learn it. Like I'm clear, had my dad is a big influencer for me when it comes to my money life. So I have seen my dad being a minimalist, saving aggressively, investing intelligently. He really was focused on his work. I used to see him leave for work sharp at 9 a.m. He used to run his own business, and my goodness, I saw him work 9 to 9. So, all that I saw him doing really influenced me. So yeah, if you need to, if you want your child to be financially intelligent, financially conscious, then you need to build that first in your own self, because just preaching is not going to help. It's really, truly not going to help. And some of the women think that, okay, because my husband knows it, so children will learn it. Let me tell you, a lot of girls pick a lot. Okay, your daughter may pick more from you. Like, I've actually picked a lot from my mother on money habits. My mom was also a saver, big time saver. But she only invested in post office investments or jewelry. I think that investment side I took from my dad, and actually I surpassed him too. So I actually didn't even stick to my dad's style of investing. I kind of created my own style. But it requires that kind of consciousness, and also I think there is a need for women to go beyond that dependency. That, okay, my children will learn from the father, but hey, there's a lot that they are going to pick up from you as well. So, can you change your own path? Because if that doesn't happen, who knows? Who knows? You argue about money in front of kids? No. Generally, whenever the kids will see parents fighting, they get scared. Okay? And, they actually hide in corners. They start crying. Okay? And there is a big impact of this. I mean, I think even older kids, are shaken up when they see their parents fighting. So, yeah, there's a lot of responsibility, and we really need to be mindful of how we are communicating when children are around. You take on too much debt, can't repay, there are credit card debts, personal loans, you're finding it difficult to repay, you're only paying the minimum amounts, doesn't work. Don't do it that way. Some things to avoid. You don't explain or talk about financial crisis. Why not? Children already know what your financial situation is. Even if you don't tell them the numbers, they still figure where you are financially. Okay? And why hide? Why hide? Like, as kids, my dad never spoke about numbers, but he always said, "Piso bahut hai." So it just, it just kind of that belief system just struck in that, okay, we have money, we're fine. We can't buy everything in the world, but we can buy intelligently. Okay, we can be intelligent spenders. So yeah, can we talk about financial crisis? Can we talk about where we stand today? Can we really make it light? I think, also we make this subject so difficult and, difficult to talk about. So can we make it light? Can we really talk? Can we really just share our hearts out? And who knows, they will become our partners in the game. So everybody start typing. What are you getting? What are you understanding? What are you learning today from this entire conversation? Are there some things that you're going to try with your children? Are there some things you're going to try on your own self? Please start typing. Sarita, for filling up the assignment, I'm taking help from my son who is 19 years. Sure. Sarita, you're in the Money Gym program and taking support. I'm loving that. Triparna, never had any discussion about money management at home. 31-year-old and still feeling as a child in this front. Glad to find you in this portal. Sure, Triparna. Warm welcome to Women on Wealth. It's an absolute privilege, and I must say this is an absolute joy to have each woman come in and say, okay, buddy, I have not had money discussions. I am 31-year-old, but that doesn't stop me. We can have it now. We can learn now. And I always say finance is a skill. We can all build it. It is not a gender role. It's a system. Every woman can learn it. Tissini, we as parents need to become confident about money first. Yes, it begins from you. I mean, look at it. It's so logical. If you're not healthy and fit, if you don't take care of your health and you're expecting your children to take care of their health, how can it be? You're preaching something that you yourself don't do. So can we do it differently? Can we first focus on our own selves, our health, our finance, our stuff? Okay, who else? Who else is listening? What are you learning? What are you getting? Please start typing. You know, when Tissini said we as parents need to become confident about money, it just so connects with me because, yeah, if you're not conscious, nothing shifts. The more you work on yourself, the more you will see, the more difference you will see in your family. I think that is how it has been for me. I changed and I saw people around me change. So that was, I led it. I led it. Okay, everybody, please start typing. What are you taking away? Or if you're all confused, that's fine too. It just means you need to rewatch the video, which is fine. So start typing. I am waiting for everybody to share what they are getting. What are they learning? Okay, Pooja is saying, I think I need to rewatch this video. I am glad you're acknowledging that, Pooja. And so what if you have to rewatch it? Watch it, rewatch it, do whatever it takes, make some notes. Who knows? Even if one thing, even if one thing you can implement from this, Pooja, it's worth it. Because, we at Women on Wealth are not saying you make big changes every day. You just make 1% improvement every day. And in 1 year's time, you become 37 times better. So that's the focus. That's it. Tissini, actually, we don't just pass it down to our children, but to our sides and upwards to our parents also. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, my mom kept saying that, oh, you're investing in stocks, you will lose money, you will lose money. And I knew what I was doing. I handpicked my stocks after careful study. I knew I was going to make money. A point came where I doubled my money and more than that. And then, my mom said the same thing. And I told her, Mama, you know what? This is what I've caused. And from then, she was relaxed. She knew that I was really intelligently investing. So yeah, we make a difference to our parents. I absolutely agree to that. So thank you so much for listening, everybody. Take charge, stay safe, and please share this video. Anybody here who thinks that you benefited from this video, please share it because we don't know how many mothers are struggling with their children around finances, and I think this could be just a starting point. Like I said, just 1% improvement. So please share this video. Anybody who's sharing, anybody who has benefited and sharing, so you can share in WhatsApp groups, on your Facebook timeline, stories. Got it? Manjula is saying, I've already shared, Priyanka. Thank you so much for standing in the support of this mission of making women financially free. Got it, Bhagya. Thank you for sharing and spreading it all across, okay? I want the entire Bangalore coming in and your hometown in Karnataka coming in. Right in. On this note, I'm closing this live. Take charge, stay safe, and keep coming back for your money life. Loads of love.